You are more than a shining light, and I just wanted you to know. Show it more than the circumstance. You are more than a shining light, and I just wanted you to know. Show it more than the circumstance.
You are more than a shining light, and I just wanted you to know. Show it more than the circumstance. You are.
You are. You are.
You are more than a shining light, and I just.
You are more than a shining light, and I just wanted you to know. Show it more.
You are. You are. You are more than a shining light, and I just. You are more than a shining light, and I just wanted you to know. Show it more than the circumstances denied, for the reciprocity, for the mind steady heart, for the pain, for the takes two I actually have to live. And I can feel my heart beating. Maybe I can hear it. And I can feel my heart beating.
You are
Maybe I can hear it.
more than a shining light, and I just wanted you to know.
Where
Show
were
it
you
more.
when everything was falling apart? Piece it back together, put it in the habit of some two put your hand so they could drop it again. Your personality makes me fall for over you begin for the opera. Never did remember stumble over the books and what I believe and I read about love. The subject to inquire with you can be considered a book that you can mask myself with what it means. Not to wander away from yourself to get close to you. Only love heals anger. You'll get from the fear for the only destroying what you separate from you with the capabilities. Wasn't the cap at all for the hold some part of yourself for the reserve for the deny your exposure for this repression inside of this energy for the one to keep yourself for the understanding of what you need to know. Since I met you, I felt abandoned with all your nearness and the newness of all I felt in the dream, for it was the only thing. With the lightning and I was the tree. The words and the fires that burned the best parts of my being. The branch off for the darkest night. You are more than a shining light, and I just wanted you to know. Show it more than the circumstances denied, for the reciprocity, for the mind steady heart, for the pain, for the takes two I actually have to live, to say it, to new meaning. Commit to being a student and honest and surrendering. Being compassionate for the understanding, the authenticity, for the conviction, the ripples of the mixtures that stir me up for the multi directions, and I will not let anything for the regrouping or reground. Stabilize, developing the joy of having real love for myself, for the integrity, secure its presence in my soul. Man aspires to win as it did for me.
You are. You are more than a shining light, and I just wanted you to know. Show it more than the circumstances denied, for the reciprocity, for the mind steady heart, for the pain, for the takes two I actually have to live, to say it to new meaning. Commit to being a student and honest and surrendering. Being compassionate for the understanding, the authenticity, for the conviction, the ripples of the mixtures that stir me up for the multi directions, and I will not let anything for the regrouping or reground. Stabilize, developing the joy of having real love for myself, for the integrity, secure its presence in my soul. Man aspires to win as it did for me. May it save someone like it did me. May it be someone like it made mine. May you love and you must do anything for yourself and always someone not to hurt for the someone that's given you, even though you didn't. May it be presented for the sight, for the feels to be upon someone, for the sacredness, for the it deserves it always to be. Polished to be embraced and the giving, for the it's been given upon you. And grow more than hate for ever it could be tolerated, for the any space to be exists. Fluence. Inspired, the blue color for the love, for the hope, for the weather, for the mother, for the sister, with the gratitude and value, and not lose sight of the beauty. Honor for being the gift for itself, for the present, for the unraveling and the untamed, for the unconscious and influid, for the river through the body, for the never the vain. To not same person is vanity, for the varnish. Harmful, obtain harmless. To harm not harmonious, heavenly, for the habitual behavior and the habits that won't keep the children. From love's honor for the donor. To live to be alive and living to each third of the timeline. Give a pastor, a presentation for the proceeds is not proceeds, but that to not to go for the children will always is be displaced. Placed evenly for the eventually all events that light, evening through for the nightly. Consistent, Never arrive for the relentless and the malicious, the deprived for the surprise, suppressed, subjected for the ejected, for the nor ejaculated back to the source of the resources, restitution for the relativity, for the relatives of the revealed. Reveals, restats, enough for the restored. Resorted all resorts and all sorts to sort for those to sort out.
You are. Maybe that for the increment for the star.
You are. Maybe that for the increment for the star. Revealed and reveals, resets and resorted for the all resorts and sort to sort out what they sowed. Raving the raves, whose ocean goodbye waves and celebrated the waves of the paradox of the days that they could cherish to change the needed for the man, the needed for the container for the testing, out the confessed, the confused and the confident, for the confined, the conflicting, the feelings and felt for the holding up the belts. Hype that for the perceiving your right to be a slave, that but spit to say the spite for the quenchers of the evil stirs to be warned for the words. Words outside the down, but the righteousness, but there was to be right for the others' rights to defend the house of the whites. May I live for the witty, for the writer, for the wilder, for the compulsive liars and those that are alive, for the they're inspired out for the spiral. Inspired down for the wicked, the becoming uncontrollable, but I can be the wicker for the after it flickers in the heavenly rations which initiated, innately, innovated. You and overlating you for the heart's doors, hardening, hindering for the tangibly, endearing, ring on the deer for the crow. Now then later for the invent, for the innocent, and later sometimes for the savior, for the sadly, for trajectory, for the tragedy, for the trade, for the trajectory, ejecting for the electing, shocking electricity, for the counting, for the 7 seasons, the 4 seasons. And there's sea daughter for the laughter and integral. You are not that for the events of the light through the night. Consistent for the never arrive, relentlessly and malicious, and enough for the deprived. Surprised, suppressed, subjected for the ejected, for the nor ejaculated back to the source through the sources. Restitution for the relativity, for the relatives, a reveal for the reveals, a recess, a resorted for the all resources, all sorts of the sort out with the divine, the soul for the lips of the sorrow. Sorrow for the store, the ages of the stores, and the stores of the rage, and that hasn't slept for the dreams, and that would forget that, but to get them for the plea, the bead. Or maybe the forgiveness of a forgery. Allegory, allegations, a gate. The community for the gateway to paradise, and the pair of snake eyes that roll the fate for the into the wrong hands of the reality, illiterate for this is the real iterate. Irate for the beat, for the any rate, for the all faith, for the hate, for the play, for the easy days, for the rough days, of the sun rays that they run away for the sun. Or those that renovate for the other recuperate, for the rationality is the ration. Anything that's a noun, announce that. After any given engagement for the engagement, meant to be speed, for the only need for the deed, for the time, for the radar, something radical, enough for the reactivating, for the writer's reluctance, the rebate, the rebellion, for the rebound, for the ravishing, and the ravin, for the only rays and ocean goodbye waves, that as they were celebrated for the ways of the paradox. You to paraphrase that for the parrot, for the phrase of the phase, of the that can cherish a day. Lay back for the day, for the A's, and never change that need for the meter, for the millimeter, for the meteor, for the even to be, for that can contender, for the testing of the confess, and not confusing enough for the confident, for the confined, for the conflicting, for the feelings, and all about that for the belts of the appetite, for you can find that right and wrong. Perceive right to misled, for the right to spit that say. Respite the quenches for the evil thirst, and never warn for the worst, and warned enough. The worst words are the only the worth outside none for the righteousness, but you can find that right for the other rights to defend the house of the rights. And may live that for the be weightier than the ladder, for the water, for the compulsive liars that are the lie. They're liars, inspired for the spiraled out and inspired. Wicked become uncontrollable for the whatever the spinning over that for the ration of use learn. Innovative for the ovulating of you, for the hearts and doors are open. I want to be near you. Developing the joy, having the real love for myself, for the integrity, for the secure, for the presence of the soul, for the inspired someone as it did me, for the saving of someone like it did me, or maybe someone like it did for the way that you love. You must do anything for the yourself. Someone you cannot hurt, for the someone who's given you, for the even though you didn't, for the presented, for the sight, for the feels that be upon you, for someone's sacred enough for the deserving of what has always been polished and embraced. Giving for the always given into the palm. You grow with more than hate that ever can be tolerated for the nothing space that exists there, for the influence of inspired, for the blue, color, love, hope, the mother, sister, gratitude, value, news, sight, beauty, honor, gift, present, unraveled, untamed, this consciousness, this gratitude, river, body, never, vain, same, person, vanity, varnish, harmful, obtained, harmless to harm, harmonious and heavenly, habitual behavior, honor that donor, live to be alive, living for the each day. Third, for the any timeline, it would pass with their presentation, the proceeding, they never proceed for the only with the children always to be displaced. Place, evening, eventually, events, light, through, consistent, arrived, relentless, deprived, surprised, suppressed, subjected, ejected with an ejaculation for the source of resources, restitutions of relativity, revealed, recess, resorted for the all resources, sources, sort out what they sown. Lips to the sorry in store for ages and stories, and that has that rage and has its left for the dream to forget. You get them. Fifth the pleaders, forgiveness and forgery, allegation.
You are maybe that for the increment for the star.
This goes out to you, 'cause I wasn't quite true.
Getting no message is the same. Getting no message is the same as a message, and when you able to interpret the ways and defining yourself, for this is the best way to define for the found, for the world, for the never the privilege, and always have an idea for the God and cover. Getting no message is the same as a message, and when you able to interpret the ways and defining yourself. Getting no message is the same as a message. Getting no message is the same as a message, and when you able to interpret the ways and defining yourself, for this is the best way to define for the found, for the world, for the never the privilege, and always have an idea for the God and cover, for the waking up of the every moment, for the wrenching of the weather, your dream state, for the paranoid. New mind for this is all still, for the sadly and lonely, for the world of glass. You still have a lot of time to make up for yourself for what you want. Getting no message again is also a message. It took me a while to understand that for anyone to ask me what is hell, but I would ask it for the distance to people who love each other. I was glad. I was an eye smiling for it meant to be never, for giving a fake smile, for it to be impossible for the eyes to twinkle if you weren't feeling the twinkle between yourself for the mouth, for the something is different, for the fake mouth at all, for the smile. Anytime you want, for the simply moving your lips, and I have learned. A real smile always has an eye. A smile to go with it, for the soul, watch out. When someone smiles at you with the mouth that beat, for the eyes, to say the same, for the sure to be a phony, for the enough, for the be the other telephone, for the call you, for the everyone should be a smile for life. It really isn't that serious enough for to make it as hard. Hard rise it for the sunrise with the sunsets. We just tend to be complicated to do the process. But maybe it's the suffering, the kindness in the words, for the creates the confidence, for the kindness in thinking, the creates the profoundness enough for the kindness of the given, the creator. What's that worst thing I could soul? Slowly for the only piece of the other people's life, for I could be wasted enough for the time for the hurt, for the some way, for I could find that for the stealing of it, what you could find for the time, for the people, but you can get that back. I could resist anything but accepting temptation, for the listen to the silence and has so much to say. You don't see my pain, but doesn't mean it's not there. And that change to be scared enough for to know it's scary, for allowing your fear to stop from growing, but evolving and progressing. Now give us a probe for this. You ever think about the time you can find some milk, you need someone for the companion where you guys are not for the purpose, reading for the happen for the distributed lives, to simply find the building apart for this to be the spiritual teaching for the finger for the pointed inward. Forward you for the reality but not for the self. True for the mature relationship with the spiritual teaching, and you requires not to apply, but this to be the simply to apply, but to simply believe in it. How could you call it love when it hurts so bad? It was love because it was all worth it. And now I understood. This maybe was death, but death with the silence that gave back no answer. Cheer myself up for the best way to cheering somebody else. I can call it love when it hurts so bad, but it was love because it was worth it. But it may be the mortal for the heart for the never stopping and loving. For it was the time to stop beating for the moral, for it was never the time for the time that comes, and never the wasted short time for the giving and walking of the surface, surrounding myself with what I love and aim and trust. But you are what you thought you were. I've been staying awake these nights wondering if I should tell you this. If I, the ocean, or if the ocean can calm itself, so you can you for the both, for the salt water, for the mix with the air, and meditation for the seeing the worst. I still think you the best, for the not to be ashamed for what you fell in love with the sun, with the stop loving me, for this to be the only corporate purpose of defining X, and this is because of the paths of the cross in the middle for the separating the end. It's not too easy to see the X crossed out, for it's not that, for the way they're crossing out something like a diagram, two paths. Maybe everybody in the whole world is scared of each other, for this to be the place. The days are long, but the years are short. And maybe you should learn to love, for here to be the way for the wanting to be loved. Life is too short for the if it was a moment to follow your passion, to do something that matters to you, but the is and now. The moment is, you are happy in the place, the palace. not to be the knife, for this to be the more for the anything else, and to stop wasting the energy of someone who doesn't give about me. Beautiful in your own way. Compared with them, for the beautiful is different, for they are beautiful too. Their story is unique and different without the comparison. But I had never been in love, so maybe I have, and I never had my heart broken in this way. But just because a person hasn't broken my heart, but that doesn't mean that I haven't been heartbroken. For this is the end for the breaking of our own hearts, and this is the way we see ourselves, and this is the body for the making them look into the social acceptable, for all the breaks in the part, for the accept myself at the end for the worst. Or maybe the enemy for the living inside of the not-end cycle, for the dislike for the toward myself, and then with the ourself and enough for the whether or not, and you look inside the brain for whatever you can find inflicting with the pain on you. Or how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. I want to be around those things. Not to be around the people who judge and talk about what people do, for the around the people with the dreams, support, and things to do the things that and I can be about, for the month, for that you could be the only to focus on the 24 hours of the day, for the getting close to where I want to be. These poems never said so much, but I had a novel of creativity when it published inside of my mind. Two things I could never do was chase that true friends and the true love. But if I sit in the rain, maybe I could drown in something other than my own thoughts. I know the only way I can accept losing her is if she can continue to hold her by the holding by hold her by the camp, and somehow nurse her each her way.
Hello, it's nice to see you again. Did you miss me? Meant to be friends, but it feels like
Getting no message is the same as a message, and when you ever to interpret
Getting no message is the same as a message, and when you ever to interpret the ways in defining yourself, but this is the best way for the find, for the found, for the growth, for the never the privilege, and always have an idea for the God.
feeling strong when you feel just
And I can feel my heart beating. Maybe I can hear it. And where were you when everything was falling apart? And I can feel my heart beating. Maybe I can hear it. And where were you when everything was falling apart? Can you piece it back together, putting the happiness into the people's hand, for they can drop it again? For your personality makes me fall for over you again. For the I never stumble over the books and what I could believe, and I read about love, but the only subject to inquiry, but it could be considered a book that you can ask myself of what it means. Not to wander away from yourself to get close to you. Only love heals anger, your guilt and the fear, for the only destroying what you separate from you and the capabilities. It wasn't a cap at all, for the hold some part of yourself for the reserve, to deny your exposure, for this to be repressing inside of its energy, for the one to keep yourself in the understanding of what you needed them. Since I met you, I felt abandoned with all your nearness, and the nearness of all I felt for the dream, for it was the only thing. You were the lightning and I was the tree. And the words and the fires that burned the best parts of my being, like the branch off for the darkest nights to produce that brightest star. The rain upon me, maybe everybody, the whole world will find themselves scared for you to have the absence of going through, for the nothing, for the needle, for the everything is the stitch, for the color, for the how close I am to losing. Understanding for the need, for the well, for the everything, for the depending, for the observation of each self, for the making your I am not that, for the every after time. The sun never says to me, for the earth you owe me, for the look what happens, and look at the whole sky, for I am not for the only the falling in love, for this is sometimes the feeling for the building up, for you can never happen, so experience is only the first time again. Your airplane will fly, for the plainly enough, for the sense for the love to be able, for the gently drifting inside of existence from wanting to. The happiness and only depending upon the quality of the thoughts and music, the place when I drift off in the imagination, for the ever can happen inside of that, for the focusing of what I want, for this to be the love, for the really crying alive, for the know, for the use is sarcastic and enough for the passion. Imaginable for the place to share it with you, for the this to be effective enough for the action, the quiet reflection for the quiet enough for the be effective action. The reason to find it so hard enough for the people to be happy enough for the see for the better, for the only was the presenting the words and it was the future resolving the able will be. Put it this way, for you remember the number one for the even the number two, for the number one for the Bible bothering for the ring of the past, and they cannot be made into the present. She was a gift. Nice to be one of the everything wrong and the wrong person to give it to me. And sometimes I feel no either. I can be coded in the direction of only you could be superficial, but not even what you're supposed to be. They're supposed to say for the disability deeper part for the part to worry their dreams. And moving along, the thinking this, I hardly notice the split for this. And sometimes it feels as though for the honest two whole different people that could have ripped apart at any second my soul. Has that one life for the living, for the apology, regretting for the questioning, for the hating and you maybe the dieting. They're running after people who don't see me. Be brave. Believe in me for the whatever. Or do the good it takes for this to happen. For the making myself proud. Love is always patient and kind. For never the jealous enough. For the lovers never be the real only. I can be the offense and you can take no pleasure for the delight. Whatever that comes, it could be right enough for the delight. Delight. It's dear self. My history written on for the winner, for the culture in the class, and obliterated for the owner to be the writing of their history. Despair is from conquer. What history? Your lies agreed upon for the ending of what you can find the beginning, for just don't know whether only the time. The pleasures are the cheapest. Up in the sky just like me for the wondering why everything I can find for the heart to feel the way it is to be next to yours. Everyone leaves and reach out for the person you're trying to reach, and this will be right there waiting. Flexible about those methods. Methodical to understanding it because I love you, I care about you. And I want you back. Scars are not in vain. It's easy for someone to joke about the scars if they've never been cut. I wanted to show it more than the circumstances denied the reciprocity to my steady heart and pain. It takes to actually have to live and say it to show to mean it and commit to being student to all, to the serenity and the being compassion, understanding the offensive, truth, with written conviction and the representing mixture with all that to be the most of the direction to let anything not regroup my resign. And what was the steady sound for this to be? Secures his presence in the soul, for the maybe it aspires someone as did for me, for the maybe as someone for the someone that made it for the you to love me, for the almost to anything, for the this be the someone, for the hurt, for the someone was given you all was you didn't, but the presenting of the light sight feels to be something upon for the sacredness.